Hello, good evening and welcome to PM Express. Tonight we're discussing the current political environment. First, it was Tarzan Rekubrobe who lambasted the MPP for instigating a court case to challenge the declaration of the EC's results in declaring President John Mahama as president. Now, he again criticized the minority in parliament for boycotting two by-elections in Buem and Akachi South and the vetting of nominees for ministerial positions, plus the recent State of the Nation's address delivered by the president on the floor of the House. Kwame Pienim, a stalwart of the MPP and a renowned economist, described the boycotts of Mahama's presidency as illogical. He also said the MPP was on the wrong path with its refusal to accept defeat in the 2012 elections. Like Rekubrobe's, reactions to Mr. Pienim's statements from some members of the party has been viral. And in another twist, NDC MP for Busan North, James Agalga, is dragging the entire minority side in parliament before the Privileges Committee for flashing the inscription "Steelers" on the floor of the House moments before staging a walkout when President John Mahama delivered the State of the Nation's address. Again, the national organizer of the governing party, NDC, says the party is considering sanctioning ministers of state who appear before Parliament to answer questions posed by the minority. Is it in the party's right to even consider such an action? Are these boycotts, that is the MPP's boycotts, really in furtherance of our democracy? After these boycotts, however, the MPP MPs tomorrow intend to present to Ghanaians their own version of the State of the Nation. What effects do these omissions, commissions, actions and inactions, including the ongoing court case, have on our political and governance systems, even the legalities or otherwise of the political chess game? Tonight, we'll find out whether these represent the expression of our democracy, and then whether the counter State of the Nation's address is something that we should cheer on. My guest tonight in the studio is Dr. Ziblim Idi, who is a political science lecturer at the University of Ghana. Later on, we are hoping to be joined on the phone by Professor Jimabwedi, Executive Secretary of CDD Ghana, and then Moses Fuamwening is a law lecturer at the Ghana Law School. You also join us. Dr. Idi, it's great to have you again.
Well, thank you so much, and good to see you.
Good to see you too. So when we look at the political ongoings, it's first you heard me introduce and mentioned Tarzan, and then Kwame Pienim. Their comments were actually met with stiff resistance or attack by the MPP, some members of the MPP. Is Tarzan and Pienim of political weight that the MPP should worry its head over?
Oh, yes. Well, first of all, let me say good evening to your cherished viewers. It's always good to come by here.
Yeah.
These are very difficult times for the MPP, and I will say for our country, because we face serious challenges in this country. And if there were any time that you want this country to pull together and rise up and meet the challenges and find solutions, very serious challenges that we are confronted with, this is it. This is the time that you would rather want to see all hands on deck, and that we can pull together as a people and find solutions to this. I can see you have a lot on your plate. I was actually surprised the things that you have enumerated, yes. and it actually sort of demonstrate where we are as a people in the political process. Let me first start by answering your question on the two personalities. Yeah. You cannot discount their stature in the MPP. I remember as a student in Lagos in '91 when the MPP was formed. Rekubrobe was one gentleman who will often come by campus And I think he actually had a restaurant in Akwafu Hall that a lot of MPP meetings were held. So right from the beginning, he was right at the center. So he is a stalwart of the party. He continued to remind us that he is a founding member of the MPP. And the other day, he also reminded those who care to know that he is a cousin of Victor Owusu, a one-time presidential candidate on the ticket of the PFP, the Popular Front Party. So yes, his standing in the party is unquestionable. Kwame Mpianim, young people may not remember, but those of us who are old enough, he came very close to being the presidential candidate of the MPP. In 1996, he was actually favored over Edubuahin and Kufuor. A lot of people in this MPP will tell you that Kwame Mpianim, if not for the court case that actually disqualified him from standing, would probably have come up as the candidate for the party for that particular year's election. So, and he has also, even when the party was out of parliament, did a lot of work for the party, both on the economic front and in terms of supporting the party. So he's also a stalwart of the party. These are two people that if you undermine their role in the party, you are not going to be fair to them. You actually be doing a great disservice to the party. These days, young people don't see them on platforms, so they don't know how active and how they contribute to the party. But in their own ways, I think that the two gentlemen continue to contribute in several ways towards the progress of the MPP. Yes.
There are those who have maintained, especially elements of people who are supportive or pro-NDC elements, say the MPP is shooting itself in the foot by some of the political decisions it has taken. One, by challenging the results of the 2012 elections in court, and then the various boycotting the Boem and Akachi South, and now boycotting the vetting of the presidential nominations and boycotting the State of the Nation's address. I mean, I know that these are all within their rights as a political institution to pursue in order to show their grievances or the other over what is happening. But have they used the right tools to, one, maintain political relevance beyond 2012, really? I mean, 2016 is just around the corner.
Yes. Well, first of all, if you are in the NDC, yes, you can say that the MPP is shooting itself on the foot. And now, first of all, let's accept the fact that the MPP is a serious party. And that if you looked at the people who are leading the MPP and the decisions that they make, you want to at least give them some credit that they didn't come to these decisions lightly, and that they would have thought seriously about the decisions and probably took a lot of things into consideration before arriving at the decisions. Now, as to whether the decision taken is in the interest of the party is one thing. Whether the decision taken is in the interest of the nation is another thing.
Whether it is in the interest of the three individuals who went to court is also
another thing. Yes, of course. But I don't want to, because then if you follow the processes, of course, I'm not in the mix of the MPP to say this is how they arrive at. But what we hear in the news were that there was a National Council meeting, and it was at that meeting that the decision was taken whether they should go to court or not. And because the Constitution did not allow the party to go to court, then the three gentlemen opted out to lead the party to court. Now, if the National Council, which is the second highest decision-making body of the party apart from Congress, took that decision, then one wants to say that it wasn't a decision that was to serve the interests of those individuals, but the interests of the party. Now, I think the key question is, does the MPP's interest as a party necessarily translate into the interests of Ghana? And it's difficult to answer that question because the very question as to what is even Ghana's interest is subjective and debatable. The MPP may say that whatever they are doing it in the interest of Ghana. The NDC will say that whatever they are doing it in the interest of Ghana. It's for you and I to decide every 4 years where we think our interest lies and where we'll put our votes to. Now, the decision first, because you raised, I think, about 3 issues. First, to go to court. And I know you consider that it was within their legal rights to go to court. Now, I know that based on the information they put out before they went to court, that they were convinced that the evidence that they gathered as at that time was overwhelming enough for them to take it before the Supreme Court to ask for the declaration by the EC to be overturned. Now, let me, before I go on, explain what the declaration of the EC meant. When we go and vote, at the end of the day, the Electoral Commission is the only body that can count and declare the outcome of the elections. When they do that, that's their constitutional mandate. Then they will issue a statement of declaration under the hand of the Electoral Commissioner. At that point, by law, it is called prima facie declaration, which means that it will stand, but also subject to whether somebody will challenge it or not. Yeah. Now, if somebody challenges it, then that means that that declaration will still stand, but when the court, that is the Supreme Court, comes out with any ruling, then the Constitution has another prescription for that. So I'm saying that the declaration of the results by the EC will have ended the process if the MPP did not go to court to contest the declaration. The fact that the MPP actually went to court meant that we are still, even as we speak, in the period of contestation. I'm building, so that you understand why.
Dr. Ziblim, yes. we're picking signals of the progress of the surgical procedure in the separation of the Siamese twins in Comfort Noche Teaching Hospital. We understand that the surgery will be completed very soon, anytime soon. And as you can see in the background there, we've captured the theater where the surgery took place. And we're expecting to speak with our correspondent, Seth Kwame Boateng, who has been with the team all day today, monitoring the progress of the surgical procedure. So we're going to break into the PM Express and then get a feed from Seth Kwame Boateng and to speak with him to give us an update of what is happening. Seth, can you, if you're there now, can you? Okay, so when we get Seth Kwame Boateng, we'll go back to Kumasi, and then we will bring you an update on that. So, Dr. Ziblim, let's continue with our discussions. We are seeing that the trend is something that has not happened in our history before as a country, where a political party for the first time in the history of our country is able to analyze over 26,000 results within 21 days and present that before the Supreme Court to make a case. So when you look at that, and then you look at the fact that, I mean, 4 years will be around the corner. I mean, I do not foresee that this case will drag for 4 years.
No, it will not.
But it's very likely that by the time the court case will complete, it would have had a certain weight on the MPP, which will I'm told that we have Seth Kwame Boateng. So, Seth Kwame Boateng, what update can you give us?
Smiling, it went successfully. They are very happy. Dr. Boateng, you earlier spoke to us and you said it's not the first time that you're going to do this, and you are sure it's going to be successful. What do you say?
All right. As I said, but the surgery, as you said, has been successful so far. We've been able to separate the children. There was a lot of difficulties, a lot of challenges.
Tell us some of the difficulties you faced.
First of all, they were joined at the liver, and so we needed to separate the liver into two and give half to the one and another half to the other one. After that, they will also join at the hip and the pelvic bone or the waist area. We needed to separate that one also. And they also joined as some part of the chest that needed to be separated. So, and then the intestine was also joined, and we needed to share that one also. So there was a lot of challenges.
What particular role did you play?
Oh, as we see now, have been
inside
the whole surgery.
Questions. What role did you play?
The liver, the intestine.
You are following the process of how they cut the chest, how they...
It's a lot of surgery. I've been part of the surgery. I've been one of the surgeons who were... These are some of those who help us in it. Plastic surgery, orthopedic surgery. Some of our nurses, another plastic surgeon. And most of the pediatric surgeons are the back there. So there has been a lot of people. Everybody has been involved. Everybody here has got a part of it.
Okay.
Yes.
And doctor, you were out when they were in. You went in later. Why were you out, and what time did you go in, and for what?
Okay. I was out because, as we said earlier, before the surgery, the first team basically went to separate the two babies. And as Dr. Nimaku said, after the separation of the internal organs and the pelvis was also separated, the babies then became two whole. So we had to get another team to operate on the other baby for the closure of the defect that was created from the separation. So that's what we as plastic surgeons did on the second baby, and then the pediatric surgeons also did the same thing for the bowel closure, and then what was it? And then the pelvis. The orthopedic surgeons also came to close the pelvis for us.
No, I saw one of the doctors carry one of the babies after the separation. Who did that? Somebody carried one of the babies to the other.
Oh, okay. Yeah, because the separation of the baby, especially the carry from one theater table to another, is so critical that we need an anesthesia to actually monitor that transfer to make sure that all our gas levels, all our tubes are actually intact.
Yeah. And doctor, let me speak to Doctor. Doctor, how did you feel when they got separated?
I was very happy. In fact, I led the group to congratulate ourselves after we've done that.
Oh, so I heard a clapping inside.
Yes, I initiated that. And then after that, then as he said, the job became two. So we formed very quickly two teams, one for each baby. And then we went ahead and did the closure. I mean, after the other organ had been separated. And the closure also involved orthopedic surgery as well. So we need somebody to deal with the bone. And then when it came to the soft tissue, then that's where the plastic surgeons also came in.
Okay, let's do gender balance. So, madam, what's your name and what role did you play?
I'm from Namwedisi. I played a role as a scrub nurse.
Meaning what?
At the time, I stood by the case, dishing out instruments and making sure that the case is done. And I had to supply them everything they needed for the surgery.
And you never panicked because I saw you never panicked. You were panicking out here.
We are okay. This is not the first time. Actually, the first time they did the separation, we were with them. And we've been in theater all this while, and this is not a new thing to us. It's basically theater stuff, so we have to be on top of issues. And if you panic, you get everybody panicking. So we had to become and make sure everything is done well.
Okay, Dr. Boatin, I saw them being moved away from here. Where are you taking them to?
They are being sent to the intensive care unit so that they can get some intensive care. Intensive care doctors are there, intensive care nurses are also there to take care of them. You have to know that the first 24 hours is a critical time for the children, so that if there's anything going to happen, it happens in the first 24 hours. So they need around the time care. And that's why you take them.
Does it mean all of you are going back to the ICU?
No. They have different set of team that works there. Yes. They have intensive care specialists on there. They are most of them are the anesthesia doctors also. And they have nurses also who've been trained purposely for taking care of such cases. So they'll be taking care of them throughout the night. And we are hoping that everything goes well. By any lights.
But don't you have a standby generator?
Yeah, we do.
Say so that if there is any help we can render, then those watching and listening to us can.
We do, but the lights out are frequent these days, so the changing over takes like a few seconds and all that, and that is very critical.
No, but I think the truth is that we had a few failures with the changeover of the power source. So we will be most pleased if there's no power cut at all.
So ECG boss or VRA boss, if you are watching us, and I know you're also listening to us live on Joy FM, the plea here is that please tell your men that they should not touch the lines coming to Konfonoche, not at this time. Okay, so doctor, you also handle bones and other things. So what role did you also play?
Yeah, actually, I was the one who helped in separating them from the waist bones. I mean, the pelvic bones. So after separation, we had 2 separate babies who, before the closure, I had to go and get the bones together, back. I mean, reform the waist so that we can get the organs internally placed so that the soft tissues could be closed over them.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay. Dr. Yusuf Akpalu, you've also been inside for since it started.
Yes, please.
What were you also doing?
I'm a plastic surgeon, and the most important thing for us is to be able to close the incisional wound as much as possible. So that is our aim. And we always go according to anatomical positions. So all that was done in order to be able to close the wound and give it a better suturing.
So do we have an idea as to when the wound will heal?
Yeah, so by wound healing, by normal position, the skin is supposed to close between 5 to 7 days. But if anything happens, maybe the general condition of the patient or maybe infection, that may delay the wound healing.
Well, thanks for that update coming in from the Konfonoche Teaching Hospital. Seth Kwame Boateng, you saw him there with the doctors after the successful separation of the Siamese twins. You heard the gory details of the fact that they had to separate the chest, separate the hip bone, and cut the liver into 2 and give the 2 children each an organ and a liver and reconstruct the hip bone as well. To think that this is in Ghana is very innovative, Dr. Edie. I hope you share that view.
I'm very impressed, and I think as a Ghanaian we have to be proud.
Yes,
that we can have surgery. I understand it's the second time actually.
It is the second time,
and we thank God that it was a successful surgery.
Yes, and
I think the doctors demand and deserve all our commendation.
Commendations.
And we have to continue to pray for the children and their parents actually.
Yes.
Yes, the surgery was successful, they will still need our prayers to pull through.
And we're very grateful to all those who made contributions in cash and kind to make this day possible. The parents of this Siamese twins must be very happy seeing that now they have 2 children instead of 1 joined together at the hip and the chest. Well, my name is Stephen Enti, and this is PM Express, where you can join us by text 1760. Post your Facebook comments on our Facebook wall, facebook.com/Joy News. And then if you're on Twitter, you can send us a tweet at Joy News on TV. You can send us WhatsApp also at 0544 334722. We're discussing the current political environment. So, Dr. Edie, I was saying before we went on the break, yes. I was saying that for the MPP as a political party to have the courage to even decide that in 21 days to do an analysis of 26,000 results and be able to find the trends which they feel does not favor them is in itself innovative. It hasn't happened before. But I'm saying that looking ahead to 2016, around the corner, do you think that the happenings will make the MPP popular or unpopular ahead of 2016?
Yeah, well, I was actually building the point, and I'm glad because your question ties into the point that I was building. I don't think the MPP are looking ahead to 2016. If you follow the whole, process of going to court and pushing it out there with other means and all that, they are actually still thinking that given the fact that the declaration by the EC was prima facie, and given the fact that they have facts before them that they think are self-evident to prove that they can go to court and overturn that declaration, they still felt as if we were in that period of contestation, political contestation for power. And so they are not, I don't think, looking ahead to 2016. Their calculations for now is how can we get ourselves positioned in the Supreme Court so that if the evidence put before the court is convincing, then the prima facie declaration would have been overturned, and that will put us in a position where there may be a second round, or where there may be an overturn altogether with having our presidential candidate being. So that is the mentality of the MPP, and that is what I think people have to understand. As a political party, they have two options: to say, okay, let's get over 2012 and look ahead to 2016. They took the decision given the facts before them, and I think the problem that the MPP is facing, if you hear Ureko Brobe and PNM, is that I don't think the facts that the MPP have before them has been put before leading members like PNM and Ureko Brobe.
For them to have a better appreciation of what is happening.
Because then my understanding on what happened, especially with the MPs, was that there were some reservations. Some MPs were not actually sure, if they want to go along, until when they met, and the party then came forth with all the evidence that they have. Well, maybe not all, but at least enough evidence to convince the MPs. And those who were at the meeting and came out and spoke to the media actually indicated that a lot of MPs were convinced by the evidence. So it's a delicate balance, because then you don't want to put all your evidence up, but then there are some members, key members, that need to know what you are gathering, what you have, and what you are putting before the court. And so as a political party, and any political party will do that, if you are in political contest for power, because political parties are formed, yes, to do other things, but primarily to win power. Now, if they invested so much into going into the 2012 elections, and they think that they have evidence, and that they are convinced in their mind that that evidence can lead to the overturn or a decision that will put them in another position to contest again, even in 2013, they will follow that angle. So I think that is what is informing their actions. Now, that is a political decision to make. So I would want us to look at it from the political point, the legal point, and the moral point. What I just explained is the political, that in every political party, when they have opportunity to contest for power, they will bring their all to it, and they will do everything to win power, politically. Legally, are they in the ambit of the law, in terms of, are they doing something within the Constitution, under the ambit of the Constitution? And the answer is yes, that the Constitution actually contemplated a situation where one party will not be happy and will go to court. So legally, yes. It's the moral argument that people out there will look at and say, well, maybe you have to look at the interests of Ghana beyond the MPP interest. You see, and I started off by saying that even there, the whole notion of Ghana's interest, which is national interest, is subjective. And there's a famous political historian, Hans Morgenthau. He said that when it comes to national interest, you don't judge it by being moralistic or legalistic or even religious or whatever. It has to do with power. So the MPP are not seeing it from the third angle that you and I may look at it, in the moral sense that, okay, what you are doing, is it in the interest of bringing the country together and helping the country moving forward? They are looking at it from the political angle, that yes, we may not have everybody on board, but we think that once we win power, if this is the means that we are using to win power, people will understand how we arrive at this. And so for now, the moral aspect of looking at Ghana's interest is not paramount vis-a-vis the legal and the political. And as a political party, you want to grant them that right, that they have the right to behave in a way that every politician will behave. Trust me, if the shoe was on the other side, you will have
the same.
Oh yes, because then it takes a lot to do elections. for political parties, because they go out investing so much, not just in terms of money, their energy, their time, everything. So if they have reason to believe that, and it's just unfortunate, I cannot wait for the substantive matter to start before the court, because then I always say that the MPP's biggest enemy is time.
Yeah.
It's not about public opinion. Unfortunately, living in Ghana, we have no way of scientifically knowing whether the public is against or for. There is no way you can know that. So they don't worry about that. But time is what they should worry about, because then at a certain stage, you don't even need public opinion polls to tell whether people are fed up or not. People will be fed up. So I can't wait for the substantive matter to start. But most importantly, once the substantive matter starts, the evidence will then be laid bare, so that everybody will then know what is it that they have put before the court that they so believe in, that they want to take this country, where we are now. That they want to assume a posture that they believe that the elections is going to be overturned, and that, or maybe there will be a second round. So the evidence will inform you and I that the MPP is so sure of it, and that is what is informing their behavior in Parliament and outside Parliament.
Well, you're watching PM Express. My name is Stephen Enti. I'm here with Dr. Ziblim Idi, who is a political science lecturer at the University of Ghana. We're discussing the current political environment. You can send us your thoughts by text 1760. Post them on our Facebook or facebook.com Joy News. And then if you're on Twitter, you can send us a tweet at Joy News on TV, and WhatsApp us on 0544 334722. We'll take a quick break. We'll be right back. Welcome back to PM Express. My name is Stephen Enti. I have a couple of messages that are coming in. I'll read some for you. Alukos from Tamale says, this is too prejudicial and too early to touch deeply on an issue which is still pending before the Supreme Court. PNM has hit far below the belt. This is what is often described as chopping down the political fibers to pedestal levels. We need not muddy the waters much further. The court's verdict will surely be over. MPP, my pride. The battle remains the Lord's. That's your opinion, Alukos. And Alhaji Mashoud from Boko says, MPP should take the wise counseling of Kwame Pianim and Tarzan. These will be better for them. And Atao Deras Froko says that the two stalwarts of the MPP are men of content and have spoken nothing but the truth, though it hurts. I hail them. And then Isa Competent says, I find it difficult to understand why minority in Parliament are boycotting national activities in which they are mandated to participate, as they represent their constituents, with the perception that the president is not the legal president, yet endorse their salaries, which they have already gone for so far. What is their stance on this? You can send us more of your comments by text 1760 Facebook. Post them on our Facebook walls, and then you can send us a tweet on Joy News on TV as well. You can send us WhatsApp also at 0544 334722. Dr. Idi, when you listen to the comments that came in, let's quickly spend a minute or so to talk through this. Alukus is saying that it is prejudicial for anyone to make such comments. So, for example, Pianim and Tarzan are out of order for making comments suggesting that the MPP is perhaps towing the wrong path by boycotting and then still being in the Supreme Court contesting the elections.
Well, let me say that first of all, they have the right to express their opinion on it. I'm not sure what he meant by prejudicial.
Yeah.
You cannot have 100% agreement, even within families, not to talk of a political party. So naturally, there is going to be dissent even within the MPP on the matter that they have before the court. Now, what I will say to the one who sent the decision was that the two individuals, I'm not sure, are privy to the evidence before the MPP. And so they may make comments out of not actually understanding what is informing the actions of the party. Now, their comments are not to the effect that the MPP does not have evidence. I heard PNM said that he supports the party going to court, but that he doesn't want the party to be the judge, that they take the matter before court and then they conclude on that basis that they are right. So he can express that opinion. I don't think that necessarily prejudices the case before the court. Now, Tarzan also believed that something went wrong, but he also, just like PNM, thought that it would rather be proper we get the MPP as a party get over it and rather focus more on trying to prepare for the next elections. That is their views, and it's for the party to take their views on board and see how it will inform their actions going forward, because they are very important personalities within the party. And I would think that maybe once, now that they have come out, the party will probably approach them with the evidence and see if they can convince them to come on board and play the game that the party is currently playing as far as the whole political process is concerned. There was a text, or is it a Facebook comment on the party behavior in Parliament.
Where Issa Competent says he finds it difficult why the minority in Parliament are boycotting national activities in which they are mandated to participate as they represent their constituents.
I think the minority leadership in Parliament, they have a lot of work to do, because you see, when you are elected and you find yourself in that arm of government, of course, you are representing the people, not just those who elected you. Now, if a decision is taken and you go along with that decision, you are very well informed about what processes led to the decision. And my understanding, listening to some bits from the minority, is that they did not take a decision to boycott Parliament totally. As a matter of fact, on a daily basis, that they participate in parliamentary. So it's for the minority in Parliament to actually demonstrate to Ghanaians on a daily basis that, yes, you might not have seen us at the vetting committee, where in so and so committees there are media people, newsmen walking around the corridors of Parliament. Let them see what you do on a daily basis. Let them see that you come to Parliament just like any other member of Parliament, that you sit in the chamber, you actually debate on issues, right? And that your decision to not be party to the vetting and all of that does not translate into you walking out on Parliament.
So you think that the minority stance is perfectly fine?
Well, I didn't say that it's perfectly fine, but I'm saying that if they believe in that stand, they should educate Ghanaians so that people will understand why they have taken that stand. I think that the minority is following a principle that the party set. And the minority is the party, and the party is the minority. So if the party took a decision that we recognize this, and that's one misconception that is in the public, that the MPP needs seriously to correct. And I think the minority will have even the more distinct to correct that. I don't think the MPP per se is saying that John Mahama is an illegitimate president, because they have no legal basis to say that. Okay, so the MPP are saying, yes, you are the president. Yes, we recognize that the results were declared and you won the elections, sworn in as president. But that from what I understand, there are certain things that they think that if the outcome of the court case were to go in their favor, everything that John Mahama, President Mahama, would have done that would expire with him leaving office, they will not participate in it. Now, if you understand the process of governance of this country, there are a lot of things that will continue even if John Mahama leaves office today. So it is for the minority in Parliament to continue to be seen to be very active in those things. And not just active, but let the people of Ghana know that they are actively engaged in debating issues that they think will continue even as John Mahama leaves office. And that there are just one or two things that they will not want to allow. And that doesn't mean that they don't recognize him as president. It just means that they think that if he were to leave office, he will go with those things. Now, the difficulty, and that is why I said the education is not quite clear from the minority, because then you then have to move on and explain to Ghanaians what are the things that we will participate in, because we think they will continue even as John Mahama were to leave office. And explain that very clearly for the people of Ghana to understand, so that we will know that you are not taking your salaries for nothing, that you did not come to Accra from your constituencies to just enjoy yourself without doing the work that you were sent by your people to do.
Now, Dr. Eddie, when we look at the fact that now the national organizer of the NDC is saying that the party is considering sanctioning ministers of state who appear before Parliament to answer questions posed by the minority, is the NDC as a party right to even consider such a stance?
Well, as a political party, just like the MPP, they have the right to do what they want to do.
But can they sanction ministers of
Oh,
state?
no, they cannot. So I was coming there.
Okay.
They cannot. You see, we don't, and I think I have to say this very clearly, we don't want to begin to be building what in podcast and we call an imperial presidency. Just because we elect the NDC into power, they form government, and we have an NDC president, their presidential candidate being the president, doesn't mean that they own the executive and they can do anything with it. When we chose to go on the path of democracy, we decided for ourselves that we will have an executive presidency with the legislature and the judiciary and all of that. It means that there are systems in place that the president himself will have to be checked by those systems. If anybody thinks that because somebody says he doesn't believe in the president, then the president should punish him through his ministers, then you are giving so much power to the presidency,
which
you are turning it into an imperial
which he doesn't have,
which he doesn't have. So I think people like Yao Boating, they have to be careful that we don't wake up tomorrow to see that everything we have built coming to this stage is thrown to the dust. We still cherish our democracy. We still believe that even the NDC, if they form government, they represent the people of Ghana. And you can't pick and choose who should ask a minister question. You don't even have the power to begin with to do that. And if you do that, and if we were to accept it, then it's dangerous for Ghana, because then we are giving powers to the president that he doesn't have to exercise. The ministers are appointed to oversee the execution of how agencies and the ministries operate. And everything that goes there are to go to the public, not to the NDC who voted, but to the people of Ghana. So if a minister is coming to Parliament, parliamentarians, even by their own rules, have the right to ask him questions. I remember, well, I think we all know that even at the point where Clinton was being impeached, where you had members of the Republican Party actually in Congress voting or pushing to impeach him, they were working with the Republicans. They didn't say because your party members in Congress are saying all these bad things about our president should not do this to your congressional district or whatever. So presidents, yes, they are the #1 persons of the land. They are still not ruling by themselves. They are ruling under the law, and the law does not allow a president to instruct a minister to discriminate. And so if the organizing secretary of a party thinks that he is so powerful that he can use that power and go to Parliament and stop ministers from doing their job and answering questions to all manner of people, the president swore to do that. I don't think we want to encourage that. I can understand why somebody from the NDC will come to very close to that position, because they are so angered by the actions and behavior of the MPP. And that is the politics. But we should not mix that with governance. The ministers, once they are nominated, vetted, and appointed, they are now part of government, and they are now coming to deliver And so we should take the politics out, let them do their work, and you don't even go to Parliament. And because in the bosom of the Speaker to decide who should be allowed to ask questions. It is not the national organizer of any political party. Now, and the Speaker, even so, is not to go outside of the standing orders of Parliament.
So how will you describe comments like that? I mean, comments coming from the Abuating Jan.
They are political comments. They are political comments. You know, because we are...
You won't say they are populists?
Well, that's where I was coming to. Because we are seen to still be in the period of contestations, you can understand that all these personalities in the political parties are speaking to the gallery. They want to do things to keep their base on, to keep their base, to energize their base, to let their base know that, you know, they are dealing with the other side, and, you know. So it's political talk, it's populist, it will not happen. I don't think the Speaker, you know, will go outside of the standing orders of Parliament and allow something like that to happen.
So if that happens, and it will be against the standing orders of Parliament.
I will think so.
For
yes,
a government, for even a government to decide that the ministers of state will refuse to answer questions posed by the minority
the
if they
cannot
so choose. I mean, there have been issues that the minority doesn't have a right to pick and choose which parts of the debates or which parts of parliamentary processes they will take part in.
Well,
is that a good assertion?
No, look, the standing orders of Parliament and the rules that govern their behavior allows for parliamentarians to excuse themselves from some of the processes. So that's why since 1992 we have had, it's not good to always use political equalization, but we have had boycotts and, you know, walkouts and all of that. You will want us to get to a point where people will stay in their house and debate things, and because that is the beauty of democracy. Unfortunately, we are not there yet. It's a developing democracy, and we will have to go through all these challenges that we are going through to actually build a democracy that we can say is advanced enough and that the systems are strong enough to absorb some of these challenges that we are facing. We are not there yet, and so we have to deal with these things. So it's not good for Ghana that you have boycotts, you have walkouts, but it's legitimate for now until somebody changes the standing orders of Parliament that says that you cannot boycott. They actually have a standing order that says that you cannot stay away from Parliament for more than 15 sitting days. Okay, and if you do that, there's a penalty. So maybe they can look at that particular thing and say, bring it down from 15 days to, let's say, 2 days. 2 days, or even a day. So that people know that when they walked out and they don't come back that same day, they will be, you know.
So two things on my mind, Dr. Ide, before we wrap up. Whilst all of these are going on, what kind of image do you think that we're carving for ourselves, you know, as a country? Do you think that we're giving the rest of the world something to keenly watch?
It's difficult to tell as we are going through the process, but what I can say is that the outcome of what we are going through is very key for our image in the international community. For now, I think the international community are holding their breath and they are waiting to see where this will take us. My worry now is what it is doing to potential investors in terms of confidence. But as to our image on the democratic thing, everything we are doing now is democratic. It's legitimate, it's legal, nobody has gone out with machetes to do the things that people watching from outside of this country will not want to see Ghana go. So we are still exploring the whole democratic means and democratic process of settling electoral disputes.
Even including the tit for tat of boycotts, and the MPP says NDC boycotted, we also boycotted.
Okay, so those are things that you and I are not happy, but they are still within the democratic process because the laws and rules of parliament allows it. So I'm saying for now, my worry is potential investors in terms of confidence. I will be more worried if the outcome of the court is not accepted and people will take to the streets and will have violence, then I'll be more worried. But I tell people that if we go through this and the outcome is accepted either way, and everybody accepts it and we moved on, it will be a plus
Our democracy comes out stronger.
Oh, very, very stronger, because then I believe that the Supreme Court would have even prescribed certain things in their ruling that will strengthen the EC first, and that will even, set precedents for other political parties if they so wish, in the future to go along the path. Either way you look at it, these are very challenging times, very interesting times, and as I started by saying, very unfortunate, because then the everyday challenges of water, electricity, bad roads, health, and all of that are now put at the back burner.
Yeah.
And people are still, you don't want to stay in political contestation for long. So I pray that the Supreme Court and that the parties will help the court, because then if the parties choose to drag it forever, the Supreme Court will be disarmed. They will have no, that the parties before the court will all recognize my worry now, that there is an, either way, whether you are in government now or you are in opposition, let's all accept the fact that it is in our interest as a country to do all the things we can do now to attract investors. And that for that, we want to fast track this whole period of political contestation and get to a point where we can get back to work and as one people.
Dr. Zibili Midi, political science lecturer, University of Ghana, thanks very much for your time. Unfortunately, we apologize, we were unable to raise Professor Jima Boedi, Executive Secretary of CDD, on the telephone, as well as Moses for Amoining. But we're grateful that you could make time for us. Thanks for your messages and comments as well. My name is Stephen Anti. Good night.